Stamps yesterday cost $114 postage to mail them out and to buy return stamps. So that's the diary, and then at the end of the week we add up these hours and the dollars, and this week, last week, it came to Veterans Day, not Veterans Day week, but the week before, it came to 8 hours and $20. So that's added to each of these lawsuits, ongoing lawsuits. This one happens to be Omni 5. Omnibus 5, that means. The 5th omnibus lawsuit. And here's the 6th omnibus lawsuit. So, you add 8 and 20 for November 9th week. And Omnibus 6 has cost 400. Let's see, this last week Franklin did it. 7 3 is 10, 3 and 8 is 11. That's 410. 418 hours and $1,200. So now let's go over to Omnibus 7 for November 9th, year 2002. You add 8 hours and $20 for 11/9 week, and it's 1,655 hours for Omnibus 7. This is the big one. Glendora versus Cunningham. It went to Las Vegas, and the Ninth Circuit filed it all up in addition to the district court. So that's 379, 399, 39 cents. And that's Omnibus 7. And then it goes on to Omnibus 8. This is Omnibus 13. And you remember what an omnibus lawsuit is? Every month, the first day of every month, I sue everybody who broke the laws during the previous month. Now, Omnibus 13 was filed in the United States District Court, Northern District of Georgia, that's Atlanta, and it's Glendora plaintiff versus Stephen Friot and his 2 crooked law clerks in the Las Vegas, United States District Court on Glendora versus Cunningham. He did not do justice to the world and to the United States of America, and so he sued for that. Michael B. McCasey is a crooked judge in the United States District Court, Manhattan, and he violated America and your rights and my rights. James Parkinson is a fugitive. He was sued and he ran away, and he tried to dump it on the pro se clerk, and the pro se clerk colluded with him, made believe they weren't sued, but we caught him. Leonidas Ralph Meekum is the so-called administrator of U.S. courts. He did the same thing. He was sued, and he dumped it on the clerk in the United States District Court in the District of Columbia. This is a notice of motion for default judgment pursuant to Rule 55, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, upon all defendants excepting Mediacom. Vision Systems Corporation and Charles F. Dolan and Former and Astorita and Lavalier and Paul Ryan and McCune and Brian Blank and Blank Hartoon and Lawrence Burrell. If they still work for Cablevision, it doesn't matter whether they've been fired or not. They may have been. Cablevision fired 800 people in Nassau and 1,400 in Westchester. They are fired for violating my right as a shareholder to go to the annual meeting on June the 5th, year 2002. And they're also sued for changing my program from 10 p.m. in Brookhaven to 10:30 p.m. Robert M. Callaghy is their lawyer for hire. Sadly, Stevens, Burke and Burke is the lawyer law firm, 230 Park Avenue. Alex R. Munson is a United States District Judge in the Northern District of the Mariana Islands, who did not do justice on Glendora versus Sue Robinson, another crooked United States District Judge in Delaware. Alan B. Johnson is a United States District Judge in Wisconsin who did not do justice to America when the case was presented before him, the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and its myopic leader, Gerald Stern, and Lee Kai Clear, and Albert Lawrence. Those bums are sued for not protecting you against bad judges, State of New York, which is your right, constitutional right by the State of New York. Karen Murphy, her chief clerk of the Supreme Court, the motion clerk, and the intake clerk, Nassau County, are sued for closing the courts to Glendora and not doing their job for justice. Roscoe Camiso, Mediacom, and a fellow named Arnold Kuhl, I think, and Stephen Melton and Kathy Goodman are sued for charging money for public access, charging Michael Brown $20 to cablecast the program and $20 to bump it up from VHS to 3/4 inch. John M. Walker is the crooked chief judge of the Second Circuit, United States Court of Appeals in Manhattan, and his chief clerk, Roseanne B. McKechnie and Lynn Dobbs, and Helena M. Harris, another deputy clerk who's been corrupted by these crooks being Walker and McKechnie. Stephen Mitzman and Mark Lakin for violating a tenant's rights. An eviction can be used for the family, and then if you find out that the landlord doesn't use it for the family, but he rents it out to somebody else, that's triple damages. Patrick Fisher and all his deputy clerks, I've forgotten what court of appeals that is. 10th Circuit, I guess, in Denver. Yeah, it's 10th Circuit in Denver for violating due process. Michael Davis and Jonathan Lebedoff for violating statutory and constitutional rights in the court in Minnesota on Glendora versus Mukasey. And John P. de Blasi for making a bogus order trying to steal Glendora's Cablevision stocks. Barry Schwersky for helping him and colluding with him and being an accessory before the fact and after the fact. And Sue L. Robinson, who let Charles Dolan deny Glendora seeing the shareholders' books, records, and minutes in the list. And she's in Delaware. And Mary F. Stanley and John T. Copenhaver in the United States District Court in Charleston, West Virginia, for not giving America justice on Glendora versus Friot. Yeah, Glendora versus Friot. Yes, Glendora versus Friot. Okay, the move-in is Glendora. The return date is November 28th, 2002, Anno Domini. The location is a courtroom assigned to the U.S. District Judge. This is in Atlanta. Relief requested is stated in the title. The legal basis is stated in the title. The grounds are the plaintiff served all defendants on September 18, 2002, pursuant to Rule 4D, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, excepting Mediacom. All defendants failed to appeal and failed to defend. I think you get the idea. Here's Mediacom's acknowledgement of the lawsuit. They acknowledged that they were sued, and they waived the cost of serving a summons. So that's what all of these defendants should do and did not do, and so Glendora deserves all of the relief in her complaint. She deserves to receive all of the relief in her complaint. Pursuant to Rule 55, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Glendora must be granted judgment by default, together with any further relief just and proper. Dated November 12th, Veterans Day, 2002, or the day after Veterans Day. Folks, can you see this? So let's tell you last week's jokes, 2 ships. So we had a delicious supper. No, it was a breakfast. A dinner? Down Maine, they have a real dinner for breakfast. Mashed potatoes, lima beans, and Italian sausage, vegetarian sausage. I'll show them to you. This is what the package looks like. Italian sausages. They're good. And they're vegetarian. This is the month of November, folks. What do you want from it? What are you going to give it? These are the days that you have. What do you want from it? What are you going to give it? It's hazy today, but it's the first glimpse of sun we've had in 5 days. We had 5 days of rain, and that's good. And the temperature was 60 degrees on some of them, so that's very good. And let's see. About 1 month and 1 week, the days will start getting longer. Daylight will start getting longer. It's sort of hard to get through these dark days of November. But we're thankful for every one of them, aren't we? And 2 ships collided, and one ship was carrying a load of red paint. The other ship was carrying a load of purple paint. And at last report, the crews of both ships were marooned. And the Japanese man went to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor said to the Japanese man, "You have cataracts." And the Japanese man says, "No, I have a Rincon." And computers are in the Bible. Eve said to Adam, "Do you want an apple too?" And the poor little tailor, he was hardly eking out a living. He was practically starving. And his minister said, "You'll have to take the Lord as your partner." So the tailor did. And the tailor began to thrive and flourish. And the minister said, "You see what happens when you take the Lord as your partner?" And the tailor says, "Oh, yes," he says, "yes, yes." He says, "We've got branch stores everywhere. We've got trucks everywhere. Look, there goes one of our trucks right now, Lord and Taylor." Baseball's in the Bible, too. Do you know that? Yes, it says, "in the big inning." Why do firemen always have a Dalmatian dog? Why do firemen always have a Dalmatian dog? So the dog can go ahead and find the fire hydrant. And why was 6 mad at 7? Why was 6 mad at 7? Because 7, 8, 9. I have to show you this, what a judge wrote about Glendora. This is in the City Court, City of Rye, County of Westchester, State of New York. Judge Peter Lane writes, the court notes that plaintiff enjoys quite a reputation as both a public access talk show hostess and a peripatetic plaintiff pro se. In fact, after separating the seed from the chaff, not always an easy task when we viewing plaintiff's papers, the court concludes that she is as well versed in the applicable law herein as many, if not most, members of the bar. Thank you, Peter Lane. I want you, I need you, Uncle Sam says, for judicial reform. Now, Here's the mailing from the National Association to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. This is very, very important. Medicare paid $57,000 of those rip-off hospital bills, ambulance bills, and doctor's bills, avaricious doctors. And this is the address. Their donations are not tax deductible. And they are constantly lobbying Congress to make Social Security the top priority this legislative session. So I'd like to call your attention to that. And also, Barbara Kennelly does not return her telephone calls. I wanted her to come on TV and tell you about the need to preserve Social Security and Medicare. It's got to be there when you need it, the way it was there when we needed it. My goodness, $58,000 could break a person.
The second one we sent you $10. This one we're not sending you anything. You don't answer our letters. You don't return our calls. You don't come to the phone when we ask you to come to the phone. We wanted to interview you on our television program that's on 36 cable TV stations all over the country. Oregon, New Mexico, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, and you just don't respond. And no, we do not want you giving out our name and our address, and we do not want you exchanging them. And we called that number to do that, and found out that you have to pay $1 to get off of it, to keep you from giving away our most treasured and private asset, our name and address. And that's not right. My number is 914-949-9495. I don't want a funky calling me back. I want Barbara Kennelly to call me back. And I want you to go on my TV show and tell people about the crisis you allege in Social Security and Medicare. Today's joke. Did you know that computers are in the Bible? Eve said to Adam, "Do you want an apple too?"
This is the in-mail, the letters, and then there were 5 big boxes. There were tapes sent in from Yorktown. Thank you. There were tapes sent in from Binghamton. Good job. Thank you. Bob Clemente, you did a good job sending tapes in from Nassau County. You sent in 10 of them, all packaged nicely. Finally, Office Depot got the Glendora chat with Glendora labels to Glendora. There were tapes from Rye. Thank you, Nicole. I've been on hold with MCI for like 6 minutes. Here's this Huntington telephone bill. Glendora 631, to Vesta Glendora 631-425-0304. Isn't it interesting? The total bill is $15.36. And look, the total taxes and surcharges are $9.06. The taxes and surcharges are worse than the telephone service. It costs more than the telephone service. State and surcharge, $6. Oh, so at least they got the bill right. At least they received the checks and posted them and did that one right. And here's another MCI that is wrong. These are all paid. And they don't have them listed. They don't have them posted. And also this 914-949-9495 has been given to Verizon. Because I think Verizon can do it for half of $31.97. So we're still on hold for MCI, customer service, so-called. There were 27 pieces of mail, and it brought in 22 jobs to do. Isn't that outrageous? Oh, I gotta do something about this. How do you get rid of in-mail? 22 jobs. We have sunshine for the first time in 6 days. The electric bill here is $50 a month. I think that's too much. That's too much. $50 a month. Oh, you know, folks, there are so many crooked people in the New York State courts that the public demanded that there be a financial disclosure law. And so the legislature wrote a financial disclosure law, and they appointed the Ethics Commission of the Unified Court System of the State of New York to enforce this law. And I requested from the commission the financial disclosure statements of John P. de Blasi and of Francis X. Nicolai. I got them. I read them to you. I pointed out their deficiencies and their cover-ups. And then I called the commission, the Ethics Commission. I asked them, by what statutory authority do you delete information when you give out the public's copy of the disclosure statement? The Ethics Commission takes out information that we want, and it becomes it's supposed to be financial disclosure, and it turns out to be cover-up disclosure. And so Janice Howard, the executive director of the commission, wrote to me and sent me a copy of the law, Title 22, New York Code Rules and Regulations, Section 41, Part 40, and asked if I had any further questions. She would be available to answer them. Well, here's Section 40. Section 40.1. There shall be an Ethics Commission for the Unified Court System, which shall consist of 5 members and shall have and exercise the powers and duties set forth herein with respect to all state-paid judges, justices, and non-judicial officers and employees of the courts and court-related agencies of the Unified Court System. I want to know what are examples of non-judicial officers, and I would like to know what are examples of non-judicial employees. So I write to Janice Howard at the Ethics Commission, Unified Court System, 26 Beaver Street, New York, New York, Eager Beaver Street. Her number is 212-428-2899. And I say thank you for sending me Title 22, New York Code Rules and Regulations, Section 40. Thank you for volunteering answers to my questions. Do you know that computers are in the Bible? Eve said to Adam, "Do you want an apple too?" Do you derive your power from the New York statutes? Do you derive your power from the New York statutes, Article 13, specifically the judiciary law? Is Title 22, New York Code Rules and Regulations, Part 40, a codification of Article 13? Do you think it is, folks? B, the members of the commission shall be appointed by the Chief Judge of the State of New York upon consultation with the Administrative Board of the courts. 2 members shall be state-paid judges or justices of a court or courts of the Unified Court System, and at least 2 shall be public officers or employees. Now, it will be interesting to know, is the 5th one a member of the courts or a nice representative for us, the public? The term of members of the commission shall be 5 years, and members shall be appointed for no more than 1 5-year term. I think possibly you should read the names of these people. Thomas E. Mercury, chairman. Does he have a mercurial temperament? Professor Mary C. Daly, Honorable Victoria A. Graffeo, Susan B. Robfogel, Esquire, and Professor Beverly McQuarrie Smith. These are all inside people, you see. These really aren't members of the public. They aren't you. They aren't I. They aren't people you know. So right there is cause for concern, don't you think? Well, I go through each one of these paragraphs, and I state my questions about these paragraphs, and I state what I want to see in the record as to what these paragraphs say they are empowered to do. And you're looking at page 3, 4. Now you see this part is highlighted. Okay, this part, let me read to you. Permit any person required to file a financial disclosure statement to request the Commission to delete from the copy thereof made available for public inspection one or more items of information which may be deleted by the Commission upon a finding by a majority of the total number of its members without vacancy, that the information which would otherwise be required to be made available for public inspection will have no material bearing on the discharge of the reporting person's official duties. I know that immediately you can see how that is adulterated. You can see immediately how that is made to serve the crooked judges, the whole crooked system, and to double-cross you, the public. So that's page 4. Page 5, and I've annotated every bit of it down to about here. And then I have one more page to go, page 6. These are some jot thoughts about it. Janet, did you review them, and how many are there, and how many inquiries a year, and what may you delete, and what does this mean, and what do you actually delete, then why is it a disclosure, and further notes and questions to Janet. And then finally I really get down to the business, folks. Well, what do you think, folks? Something's being done about it. We're doing something. Think what a task this is. This would take two people's lifetimes to straighten out this mess. So-called Ethics Commission of the Unified Court System of the state of New York. This is Glendora, a chat with Glendora. And this is Katie Kitten. Well, here's the status report on Cablevision's harassment of public access producers. First call out was to Peggy Anderson. She called me at 8:30 in the morning, so give her a lot of credit for getting to work so early. And Peggy said that she had 2 tapes, which is good, and so she won't be sending out any tapes to me again until she gets 4, and I sent her the postage for that on Tuesday. And then Chat with Glendora is on 10:30 p.m. in Hauppauge this quarter, and it's on at 10:30 p.m. in Brookhaven this quarter. For the quarter starting January 1st, a Chat with Glendora is on at 9:30 p.m. in Brookhaven. That's good. And it's all mixed up over there, a Chat with Glendora, as to Hauppauge. They haven't even assigned a time to it. And Lori Galgano brought the application in person. And right then and there, Peggy Anderson should have given her a time, not only for the Hidden Truth, but also for a Chat with Glendora. I think that's wrong that Peggy Anderson did not do that. And then I said, what time is a Chat with Glendora on in the first quarter of 2003? And Peggy Anderson said, it's not. We didn't get a paper for it. I called Lori. Lori knows fully well that Pat handed in the paper. And so Lori called Peggy, and Peggy says she doesn't remember seeing Pat. But it was Pat, it was Lori, it was Peggy who told Pat to put the paper in the box. Glendora's a Chat with Glendora in the box. And so, that's where it is. We do not know the time of a Chat with Glendora in the first quarter in Hauppauge. Now you understand, if they change that time from 10 p.m. that Glendora's had ever since 1995, you understand that? That they're going to get sued, and I'm going to own their house, and I'm going to own their car. The law says public access shall be administered on a first-come, first-served basis. It does not say first-come, first-served every 13 weeks. That is my time slot, and it's mine forever until I give consent to give it up. Over in Peekskill, poor Cecilia is doing the work of 4 people. But we're all set with Yonkers, Saturday at 4:30 p.m., thanks to Elmer Johnson. We're all set with New Rochelle Pelham, thanks to George Paris, at 9:30 p.m., New Rochelle. We're waiting for David Hort in Putnam Valley to send in the renewal. Bob Angelo in Thornwood, we're waiting for him to sign and send in his renewal. Maybe he's already done. In Cross River, Zeke Hunter, champion that he is, an individualist that he is, he signed 10 applications to take care of 10 specials for a Chat with Glendora in Cross River. And each one of these is 2 hours long. Austin, I took Peekskill. We've got to go over to Peekskill, or one of you people in Peekskill, will you please get in touch with me, this number that you see on your TV screen, and will you please be the local signer for Peekskill. That's Peekskill or Croton or Montrose or Mayapack, some of Mayapack. Would you please do that, please? Because my great signer, my great, wonderful, beautiful, vivacious, vibrant signer in Peekskill, Lindy Hartzman, died.
Take good care of yourself.
Oh, I forgot to mention, Wappingers is all right. This is the United States District Court in Cleveland. I've never heard a ruder clerk. Listen to this.
The civil procedure says you must notify me immediately. I'll transfer it to Judge Goss. They would have been the one that issued it. So they issued it, but it's your job, the clerk, to send it out. She is with the clerk's office. Oh, Judge Goss? Judge Goss' clerk is the diagonate. She would have issued it. Can I transfer it up to her? Or is it up to the clerk of the court? She is the clerk of the court. Who is? nicest ones I ever met. Let's record that.
Big news, check for $122 came in from selling the Gannett stocks, 2 shares, split 2 to 1. About $50 of it would have been about $170, about $50 of it went to brokers. Everybody taking, chiseling and biting a piece off, you know. Other big news, Peter Lane, the Rye City Court, County of Westchester, State of New York, granted my motion to proceed in forma pauperis on my appeal of Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan. Other big news, Robert Callaghy, Satterley, Stevens, Burke & Burke, liar for hire, or has been, for Cablevision, wrote to the clerk of the Rye City Court and told the clerk that he was sending, or did send, 53 VHS tapes that belonged to Glendora that Cablevision was illegally holding on to. Isn't that something? And that I have to go down and pick them up. That's 70 miles away. Isn't that terrific? Now, there was no need of that going to court. You know, Cablevision could have just been honest, could have cablecast the programs the way they have to, as the law says, federal, state, municipal, and then return the tapes to me. There was no need of that going to court. We need to talk to the appellate term. They haven't got the papers from the Rye City Court, the appellate term for the 9th 10th Judicial District, which happens to be located in Brooklyn.
I don't, you know, you have to look at it that way anyway. Yeah, that's right, Harry. Okay. Okay, well, thanks for calling. You're welcome. Did I tell you about the poor little tailor? No, well, he was eking out a bare existence, and he was practically starving, and his minister says, you'll have to take the Lord as your Savior. Oh, your partner, excuse me, you'll have to take the Lord as your partner. And so the tailor did, and he began to flourish. And the minister says, you see what happens when you take the Lord as your partner? And the tailor says, oh, yes. He says, we've got branch stores all over the place. We've got trucks coming and going. Look, there goes one of our trucks now, Lord and Taylor. Yeah, doctor? Yeah. And the eye doctor says, you have cataracts? And he says, no, I have a Rincon.
Well, folks, the telephoning is up to date. There was only 50 calls today, but we made so many yesterday. Not so many, 30 yesterday. But finally, the telephoning is up to date. So tomorrow, all that has to be done is the Saturday calls and the and 10 or 20 November calls. Maurice Cunningham, before she was fired, was working on gathering up Glendora's tapes. Do you know that the Rye Court has 53 tapes that Cablevision had stolen from her, and why didn't they ever just return them to Glendora? You know, that didn't have to. I didn't. You know, why should I have to take them to court, to the Rye City Court, to get my tapes back? Robert Joyce is doing fine in Litchfield. Good for you, Robert Joyce. You get a gold star. I can't get a hold of Alan Sherman at Comcast in Trenton. Not for weeks. Cannot get a hold of him. I told the tailor joke to a couple of people. You might like to hear them laugh. Because about the poor little tailor who was eking out a bare existence.
Right. And he was practically starving to death. And so the minister said, well, you'll have to take the Lord as your partner. And so the tailor did, and he began to flourish immediately and prosper. And the minister said, so you see what happens when you take the Lord as your partner? And the tailor said, oh, yes. He says, we've got branch stores all over the place now. We've got trucks coming and going. Look, there goes one of our trucks now, Lord and Taylor. That's a cute one. That's really funny. Life is funny. Yeah. really starving, close to starving, and the minister said, well, you'll have to take the Lord as your partner. And so he did. And he started to prosper immediately. And the minister said, well, now you see what happens when you take the Lord as your partner? And the tailor says, oh, yes. He says, we got branch stores all over the place. He says, we got trucks all over the place. Look, here goes one of our trucks right now, Lord and Taylor. Okay.
Folks, before I start the Masters this morning, let me just show you. Here, Penny, you show it to them. Cablevision's capitulation in their liar for hire. The court of the city of Rye, county of Westchester, state of New York, Peter Lane, ordered Cablevision to bring Glendora's tapes to the court, the tapes that Cablevision would not return. And I'm aghast that it's 53. I don't know where they got those from. And it'll be very interesting to see the dates on them and where, which system they were sent to. So it's to Mary Jo Garrity, the clerk of the court in Rye. And it's regarding Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation. Small claims. Pursuant to Judge Lane's decision in order dated October 22nd, 2002, enclosed, please find 53 videotapes in connection with the above. Very truly yours, Robert M. Callaghy. Cheers, cheers, cheers. This is another capitulation by Cablevision. They broke the law. They were brought to court. They lost, just as they did in 1993 when they took a chat with Glendora off of TV in Nassau County. They were brought to court. They lost, and they were told to put it back on again. And so here they are, told to return Glendora's videotapes. Hooray, applause, cheer, cheer, cheer. The courts, I have to say, are good for something, now and then.
I've got a great job. Money in the bank. Last month, someone asked if I read the Bible. The Bible? I'm successful. I'm happy. What do I need the Bible for? I can get more from the Wall Street Journal. But that made me curious. So I decided to take a second look.
I'm on my feet all day. When I go home, I just want to turn on the TV and relax. But read the Bible? All those these and thous and begats? Who wants to struggle with that after waiting on customers all day? But then a friend showed me this version written in modern English, and I was surprised.
This guy I play hoops with said I should start reading it, the Bible. Man, I said, I don't need no Bible. I mean, it just ain't cool. So he goes, I read it all the time. And he beat me by 20 points. So he gives me his Bible. I read it. It ain't hoops, but it ain't bad.
What's your excuse? Before you make an excuse to avoid reading the Bible, stop. Take a second look. Pick up the Bible for 5 minutes, and you may pick it up for a lifetime.
November 16th, Saturday, the year 2002, Anno Domini. And 3 masters are made. 3 masters are made. And 1 archive and 1 cross river. And 1 lazy cat. And 1 lazy cat again. And then around the corner, a lazy husband. The time is 1 p.m. 1:30 p.m.
The number you have reached
Folks, this is Glendora to the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission.
the phone right now, but if you'd like to leave a message for Chairman Powell, please press 1. His confidential assistant, Tony McGowan, please press 2. Marcia McBride, Chief of Staff, please press 3. Yvonne Hughes, Special Assistant to the Chief of Staff. You have reached the voicemail box of Chairman Michael Powell of the FCC. Please leave your name, number, and any message you care to, and someone will get back with you as quickly as possible. Chairman Powell, you still aren't doing anything about Cablevision. You'll put your efforts where the money is. Cablevision is violating the rules of public access, limiting and prohibiting public access, not administering public access on first come, first serve, not administering public access on a non-discriminatory basis. Cablevision is still covering up the least access file and the public access file. You're just not doing a thing for the public. Everything for you is for the cable operator who just makes up the money. Well, we don't have to worry about Cablevision anymore. It's falling flat. It's going all to pieces, and Charles S. Dolan with it. You just don't serve the public. My name is Glendora, 914-949-9495. I'm not... God, why did you make me? And God says, I thought you were lonesome. And Adam says, well, why did you make her so beautiful? And God says, well, so you would like her. And Adam says, well, God, why did you make her so dumb? And God says, so she would like you. I like that one. Beautiful.
Folks, it's abominable how George McDermott was robbed of his business, and attempts now being made to rob him of his home by defendants in court. And the brother-in-law of the defendant is the judge. And this happened in Maryland. And this is his lodged appendix to the United States Supreme Court. And the action against McDermott, there was no signed order. They didn't exist. And this is his petition for writ of certiorari to the United States Supreme Court. I don't know how to help George McDermott. I'm trying to help him by reading his legal papers. This is his letter to me. There's a videotape over there that I'm looking at of his so-called trial. It is oppressive. The violation of due process, the violation of rights, and the checks and balances on these crooked judges. George McDermott writes to his senator, I will be highlighting the shortcomings of the United States judicial system's lack of lawful document control and review process as being possibly the most corrupt, mismanaged judicial system in this nation, or one that promotes a legal malpractice and judicial fraud over the Constitution and rule of law. I believe my case history on its own, and it's 13 years, is sufficient to prove my case. It is unfortunate that the citizens of Maryland have to suffer under judicial tyranny and terrorism so that federal felons and their disbarred attorneys have more rights and influence in our courts of law and legislative houses than honest citizens do. I hope for your support as a fellow Democrat in my run for office. Respectfully submitted, George E. McDermott. This was in the lodged appendix. Seven days out of 8. Yesterday was beautiful. No, yesterday all day it rained. Friday was beautiful. And it was just drenching. At 5 a.m., we checked it at 6:30 a.m., it was drenching. I checked it at 7:30 a.m. It was drenching, and at 8:30 a.m. it was over, and the wind was blowing. But that mixed up the laundry and driving to Hopewell to go to church because we didn't know if we could. And there goes a New York State Trooper. So I have no excuse for not going to the Hopewell Church. I have to go. Franklin is embarrassed to be walking so slowly in front of people, so he's not going. I'm going to put the laundry all the way behind, and now you can see something. I just passed the Congregational Church, and the cars are there, and the service is about to start. And boy, it was hard to pass. Drive 23 miles to the Hopewell Church. 40 minutes. But I saw the hurt in Taylor Holbrook's eyes. I brought up this issue. And so it's not nice to hurt him. And there's the Baptist church, too. weren't then. That's why we've been going to two churches for a year and a third. We didn't want to hurt their feelings by not going. Here's the church I traveled 23 miles to go to. And 30 minutes. And the steeple is deep in the clouds. I returned Franklin's audio cassettes. There were 6 of them that he had heard. That's so good, those audio cassettes, for people whose eyes can't be used much anymore. And this is the second church we go to on Sundays. That steeple isn't tall enough to be in the clouds. Rusty! Rusty! I have to go to Stop and Shop. They have the best catnip. 57 miles to 2 churches and home again. This is Glendora versus Stephen P. Friot, a dirty judge in Oklahoma City State's District Court. This is Omnibus 13. It was filed, as you can see, in the United States District Court, Northern District of Georgia, Atlanta. And you can see that this magistrate says that plaintiff, proceeding pro se, seeks to file this civil complaint without prepayment of fees and costs or security therefore pursuant to 28 U.S. Code Section 1915A. Parenthesis 1964. The undersigned has reviewed plaintiff's affidavit in support of his request to, hey, somnolence, wake up, Glendora is female, you abase, you abash. The undersigned has reviewed plaintiff's affidavit in support of his request to proceed in form of pauperous and concludes that the information provided by plaintiff does not support a finding that he or she is unable to pay the fees and costs of litigating this action. Here he is writing an order and he doesn't know he from she. Now A, Glendora says substantiate this. B, this is conclusory. C, you give no legal or factual basis. D, you are asleep on the job. 3, accordingly, says this screwball, his name is Schofield, United States District Court, a magistrate in Atlanta. Plaintiff's request is hereby denied. And Glendora says, well, on what grounds? Grounds? What grounds? You are not doing your job. You are not earning your pay. 4. Plaintiff is advised that he or she, here he is writing an order and he doesn't know whether it's he or she, must pay the filing fees to the clerk of the court if the plaintiff wishes to proceed with this action. Well, plaintiff does not have $150. The United States District Court, Atlanta, is a rich person's court. Poor people are not allowed to seek justice. 5. Plaintiff is further ordered that these fees must be paid on or before November 8, 2002, or this action will be dismissed. And Glendora says, you did not get it here until November 13, 2002. See page 3. So ordered this 24th day of October 2002, E. Clayton Schofield III. He's a rich person's lover and a dirty judge lover. United States magistrate judge. Well, Here's page 3. Received November 13. 7. Magistrates, parentheses, teachers, helpers, cannot issue dispositive orders. You are in violation of Title 28, U.S. Code, Section 636. Glendora did not give her consent to have her case go to a magistrate, and you will be sued. Glendora has an inalienable right to an Article 3 judge. That means a United States District Judge. This whole case will have to be brought in another United States District Court, adding you as a defendant. You do not do your job. Dated November 17, 2002, Anno Domini. Read on TV November 17, 2002. Opus 909, 3 hours, $5, Omnibus 13 lawsuit. Service list. The chief judge of this court, so-called Schofield, the screwball magistrate, Glendora TV audience, that's you. Who to sue? Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated, Meekum, Patrick Leahy, the House Judiciary Committee, a matter of justice. Voila. And that one's over with. This is the cassette that Franklin is listening to, Larry King Laughs. Classic moments with America's top comics. The Best of the Larry King Show, Volume 1. Billy Crystal, Richard Pryor, Jonathan Winters, Albert Brooks. Live on the air with America's top comics. He calls himself the king of talk radio. Is it good, Franklin?
Very good.
Very good, Franklin reports. Sweet potato. Another great creation by God. Raining again, folks. And Penny went out into it. And this is Christmas time. And anniversary time. It'll be our 45th wedding anniversary on Christmas Day.
What do you say?
What'd you say?
What do you eat?
Sorry, it's our 48th wedding anniversary. 1954 to 2002. And that's the time that Franklin and Glendora start thinking about buying a new camcorder. This one was bought on Christmas the year 2000. It's been so long since we've seen any stars or we've seen the moon. We're missing the full moon. Rain, 7 days out of 8. Anyhow, the second camcorder was a Sony, and I only had it 3 weeks, and a terrible person stole it off the counter at the Hopewell post office, which was filled with people at the time, and nobody saw it. Guess what, folks? Guess what? Yep. The first snow. Like a Christmas card. Being under the big pine trees like being in a tent. And the snow has made the Branches droop. One day of sunshine out of 9. This is for my outdoor animal friend. I don't know who she is. Folks, these are the hours and dollars for all of the lawsuits. There's about 10 or 12 of them going on now. And then for all the personal things. And it just takes so long to do these every Monday. Set up the new week. Penny's a little buddy cat. And so is Katie. But they don't do any work. In fact, they sort of impede the work. We don't have any heat. We haven't had any heat for 3 days. The furnace must be broken. So we have to tell the landlord. The sun was here for about 5 minutes. And then all of these clouds came in. There was a bad judge in the United States District Court in the Northern Marianas named Munson. There's a bad judge, very bad judge in the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit named John Walker. There's a bad judge in Wisconsin named Johnson, United States District Judge. The New York City Parking Violations Bureau, and Karen Murphy not doing her job and closing the court. All these people were sued. They were sued once in the Marianas, and they were sued again in Hawaii, and they were sued again in Oklahoma City. And Stephen P. Friot failed to do his duty to the United States of America. And so Glendora filed a judicial disability complaint against him. And misconduct. And here is the answer to that. The United States courts for the 10th Circuit, Office of the Circuit Executive, 1123 Stout Street, Denver, Colorado, Glendora versus District Judge Stephen P. Friot, judicial misconduct complaint, also disability complaint, number 2002. I think, what's 10 mean? It's Title 28, U.S. Code, Section 372, parenthesis C, parenthesis 1. What's 35 mean? They've got 35 of them, or they've got 10 of them. It's a petition for review by Glendora to the Judicial Council, quote, unquote, of the 10th Circuit. 1. Glendora herein petitions for review the so-called order of dismissal by D.R. Ataka of October 28, 02. Attached here is Glendora's affirmation. Why? Under penalty of perjury, Glendora tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has to you people, so help her God. But the defendants, Friot and you, have not. So help you God. Glendora tells him to use the designated address and encloses a copy of an order dismissing your complaint. To seek review of the order, you must file a petition for review to the Judicial Council within 30 days from the date of this letter. That petition should be sent to this office. Wouldn't you think that these grown-ups would get tired of playing these kids' games? Copies to Chief Circuit Judge Dinell Reese Taka, Chief Judge Robin J. Cawthorn, and District Judge Stephen P. Friot. And here is the mailing list and the prayer list. Taka, Tig, Cawthorn, Friot, Glendora TV audience, that's you, to file a judicial misconduct and disability complaint against Taka, who wrote this slop. Who to sue? The Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated, Patrick Leahy, House Judiciary, A Matter of Justice, and Leonidas Ralph Meekum, who's the administrator, so-called, of the courts. George McDermott, 13 sets, Opus 910, 4 hours, $7.37. The complainant has filed a complaint of judicial misconduct against a district judge in this circuit. The rules of the Judicial Council of the Task Force of the 10th Circuit governing complaints of judicial misconduct, as well as Title 28 U.S. Code Section 372C, govern my consideration of this complaint. Glendora says, while we all know it is not the Constitution, the statutes, nor patriotism, nor America first, why do you cover up the name of the judge? Why are you so collusive? The bad judge is Stephen P. Friot, Oklahoma City. Complainant filed an action in a district court raising federal civil rights and state law claims against a number of individuals, apparently including judges and clerks. The respondent judge, that would be Friot, that they are too collusive to name, dismissed the case on immunity and other grounds before the defendants were served. Well, Congress made no such law as immunity. Judges do not have immunity. Judges make up law, make-believe law, but judges do not make law. This is why we are tricameral. Complainant contends that the judge improperly failed to serve all defendants and does not know that judges and clerks are not immune. Well, that is some of the complaint. Complainant is challenging the merits of the judge's decisions, which she may be able to do by appeal, but which she cannot do through the misconduct procedure. The complaint is therefore dismissed. And Glendora says, you people are so hollow and so worthless. What purpose do you serve? Who needs you? What you have done to America is abhorrent. What do you do when the judge doing the judging is as bad as the judge being judged? Make an honest living. Get a clean job. Be someone your progeny can be proud of. The circuit executive shall transmit a copy of this order to complainant and to the respondent judge. Glendora makes it clear that that's Stephen P. Friot, no more cover-up. To seek review of this order, complainant must file a petition for review by the Judicial Council. This is more incest, folks. The petition must be filed with the office of the circuit executive within 30 days of the date of the letter transmitting this order. And Glendora says, and more of the same. Glendora will. It is all we have. And you have stolen it from us, from the U.S. The U.S. is us. So ordered this 28th day of October 2002. Denil Reese Taka, you have a beautiful signature. We wish you would put it on something worthwhile to America. I'll pray in church for you people. Taka is the Chief Circuit Judge on behalf of the Judicial Council of the 10th Circuit. It would say, here Munson et al. Violently, viciously, viscidly, virulently violated black-letter federal law. Friot sells his soul and puts last on his list the USA, his oath, his office, his call. Now here come you with triple evil. Friot did not get out his papers in time to appeal. You people have lost your state of being able, of power to perform. Power to form as to patriotic, moral, intellectual, legal, and spiritual capacity. The skill, completeness, facility, force, caliber, strength, competence, qualification, aptitude, faculty, and talent have eroded to impotence and ineptitude. We must fervently pray for you, but first pray for the USA. It is so sad. Dated November 18, 2002, Anno Domini, yours in truth, Glendora, and this is the Winter Woods Address. When things get that bad, folks, you have to tell jokes. Did you know about the Jewish family that had a gorilla? They brought the little gorilla up since he was a baby. And when he gets to be 10 or 11 and 12 years old, they want a bar mitzvah for him. So they asked the rabbi, and the rabbi says, "Oh no, I can't do that. That would be sacrilegious." And so the man said to his wife, I guess we can't give him that $1 million for the extension of the wing on the synagogue. And the rabbi says, "Oh, why didn't you tell me he was Jewish?" So how are you today, folks? Just miserable? And what happens when ducks fly upside down? What happens when ducks fly upside down? They quack up. And do you know they're not going to publish the Chinese telephone directory anymore? They're not going to publish the Chinese telephone directory anymore. There's so many wings and so many wongs, everybody is winging the wrong number. The IRS said to Charlie, we're having a little problem with your medical deductions. Charlie says, "Why? What's wrong?" And the IRS said, "Well, it's hard for us to justify as a medical deduction $10 to the tooth fairy." The policeman stopped a young lady, and he looked at her license. The policeman did. He looked at her license and he told her, "You should be wearing glasses." And the young lady says, "I have contacts." And the policeman says, "I don't care who you know, I'm going to give you a ticket." things get that bad, folks, you have to tell jokes. Did you know about the Jewish family that had a gorilla? They brought the little gorilla up since he was a baby. And when he gets to be 10 or 11 and 12 years old, they want a bar mitzvah for him. So they asked the rabbi, and the rabbi says, oh no, I can't do that. That would be sacrilegious. And so the man said to his wife, I guess we can't give him that $1 million for the extension of the wing on the synagogue. And the rabbi says, oh, why didn't you tell me he was Jewish? So how are you today, folks? Just miserable? And what happens when ducks fly upside down? What happens when ducks fly upside down? They quack up. And do you know they're not going to publish the Chinese telephone directory anymore? They're not going to publish the Chinese telephone directory anymore. There's so many wings and so many wongs, everybody is winging the wrong number. The IRS said to Charlie, we're having a little problem with your medical deductions. Charlie says, why? What's wrong? And the IRS said, well, it's hard for us to justify as a medical deduction $10 to the tooth fairy. A policeman stopped a young lady, and he looked at her license. The policeman did. He looked at her license and he told her, you should be wearing glasses. And the young lady says, I have contacts. And the policeman says, I don't care who you know, I'm going to give you a ticket. The warden in the prison said to Pete, Pete, you must be very lonesome in here. You never have any friends or relatives come to visit you. And Pete says, oh no, warden, they're all in here with me. A little girl came home from school dejected, and her mother says, what's the matter, honey? And the little girl says, we had a fire in school today. And Mommy says, that's horrible. The little girl says, yes, but I knew it would happen. We've been rehearsing for it for a year. The man was in the Oval Office and he saw a gold phone. And he was told you can talk to God on that phone. So he called up God and he talked for 3 minutes. And he asked the Oval Office how much to owe you, and they said $300. Within a month, the man was transferred to Israel, and he saw another gold phone. And the people there says, oh yes, you can talk to God on that phone. And so the man did. And then he asked, how much do I owe you? And they said, 30 cents. And the man says, well, in the Oval's office, I talked to God 3 minutes, the same as here. It was $300. And the people said, yes, over here it's a local call. Adam was walking around the Garden of Eden, and he's talking to God. And he says, God, why did you make Eve? And God says, because I thought you were lonesome. And Adam says, well, God, why did you make her so beautiful? And God says, so that you would like her. And Adam says, God, how come you made her so dumb? And God says, so she would like you. This is Omnibus 11, March the 1st, year 2002. It was filed with great hopes in the United States District Court for the Southern District of West Virginia, that's Charleston. Plaintiff is Glendora, and these people violated Glendora's rights. John M. Walker, the Chief Judge of the Second Circuit, Roseanne B. McKechnie, his accomplice, Chief Clerk, and Tyretta Hope and Helena M. Harris, other accomplices, abettors. and Thomas F. Hogan of the United States District Court, District of Columbia, Denise Kelly, and Kevin Smith, law clerks, Joseph N. Alexander, an assistant, and Colleen Cotterly, United States District Judge in the United States Court in Washington, D.C., Nancy M. Mayer, the Chief Clerk, and Mary M. Schroeder, the Chief Judge of the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco, and her Chief Clerk, Kathy Catterson, her deputy accomplice, Gwen Baptista, Karen Murphy, County Clerk, and also Chief Clerk of the Nassau Supreme Court, Motion Clerk and Intake Clerk, and John P. de Blasi, a so-called Justice of the Supreme Court, County of Westchester, State of New York, and his accomplice, Barry Schwersky, an agent of Cablevision, Gerald Stern and Lee Kai Clear, and Albert Lawrence from the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct for not protecting you against bad judges when you have a New York State constitutional right to be protected against bad judges, the City of New York and his Department of Finance, and the Commissioner of Finance and his Bureau of Parking Violations, who operate a civil recall in the City of New York. Those were the defendants, and I was seriously injured by these defendants. And being a law-abiding citizen, instead of going down and punching these people in the nose or hitting them over the head with a bat, I took my grievances to a court. That's what you're supposed to do. And with high hopes, and this dumb court, a guy named John T. Copenhaver and another one named Mary E. Stanley, okay, didn't do their job, abandoned their oath of office, abandoned America, and let these crooks that I just read your names of, let them go. And so I, of course, appealed their slop. It's in the United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit in Atlanta, in Richmond. And I sued them, of course. They've all been sued again. That one's currently in the United States District Court of Atlanta. And then I filed a judicial misconduct complaint against Copenhaver and Stanley, these screwball judges. That's called misconduct and disability complaint according to Title 28 U.S. Code, Section 372, C1. And so, can you imagine what happened to that? You hurt America more than any terrorist can. Neither Copenhaver nor Stanley is worth beans, and you sell your soul to them. So Glendora petitions the Judicial Council for more of the same. You are wrong, Glendora is right. We will pray for you. You are so far gone. I want an affidavit from you that you read my complaint in its entirety, that you understood it, that you and you alone made the decision. This pablum that you sent me is obviously ghostwritten by a first job, just graduated fly-by-night flunky out of law school. This gives you more time for golf. Glendora tells you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Dated November 18, 2002, Anno Domini. Yours in truth, Glendora, and the Winter Woods address. Here's the cover sheet. Not confidential. Glendora's reasons why are affixed here too. Petition by Glendora for review of Wilkinson's memorandum in order of October 24, judicial misconduct and disability. And it's titled correctly, Glendora versus John T. Copenhaver and Mary E. Stanley. Here's the service list, i.e. the prayer list. Hayden, Copenhaver, Phillips, Stanley, Wilkinson, Connor, Leahy, Meekum, House Judiciary and Matter of Justice, Center for Judicial Accountability, Glendora TV audience, that's you, who to sue, and whom to file another 372 judicial misconduct complaint against. That would be Wilkinson. And to George McDermott. 15 sets, Opus 911, 3 hours, $8.52 printing. We paid the MCI bills, Huntington and White Plains. And this is the electric bill. I think it's too much. They bill every 2 months, and the electric bill's $95. That's too much for a little place like this. What's the dates? August 27th, when it was so terribly hot, to October 24th. So that's like August, September. It's like September and October. It would be awful next time because we have to run the heater and turn on the oven because the furnace is broken. November 18th, 2002, Anno Domini, countdown to Thanksgiving. To all you bill senders, to wit, Unbank, Vassar Brothers Hospital, Hudson Valley Critical Care, Hudson Valley Urology, Sloper Willen Community Ambulance. It's Sloper Willen, and we were not willing, Franklin. 1, we did not consent to any of these. 2, all we wanted was a doctor contact to prevent an autopsy so our bodies could be donated to New York Medical School. We were victims of medical avarice. It is abhorrent that you people make an industry out of sick people. We did not ask for all these foolish machines. We have rights analogous to Miranda rights. You did not explain, you just went ahead and did it, with dollar signs in your eyes. It looks as though we are going to get a declaratory judgment on this. We will also ask for compensatory and punitive damages dated June 18th, 02, yours in truth, Glendora. Do you want to sign it, Franklin?
Yep.
I'll tell you some jokes while we're waiting for the printing to be done. The Jewish family had a gorilla they brought up from a baby. And when he was 10 or 11, 12 years old, they asked the rabbi if they could have a bar mitzvah for the gorilla. And the rabbi said, oh, that would be sacrilegious. So the man said to the woman, well, I guess we can't give that $1 million to the new wing for the synagogue. And the rabbi said, you didn't tell me he was Jewish. How are you today, folks? Just miserable? And what happens when ducks fly upside down? They quack up. And Katie, why aren't they going to publish the Chinese telephone book anymore? There's so many wings and so many wongs, everybody is winging the wrong number. And the IRS said to Charlie, we're having a hard time justifying your medical expenses. Why? Well, it's hard to justify as a medical expense $10 to the tooth fairy. And the policeman, young policeman, stopped a young lady and asked to see her license. And the policeman says, it says here that you should be wearing gloves. We're doing a pile of in-mail. 23 jobs came in on Wednesday. And we sent Rob Jackson $3 worth of stamps to return the tapes. And Ken Harris, who's very, very nice. He's in Binghamton. He called and said that the tape that was was damaged, and he was very unhappy about it because he knew we didn't want to pay the same show 3 weeks in a row. So he asked me to get him another tape. So I've got that run ready to go first class mail. I hate to pay it first class mail. It's over $3 when it's only $1.40 media mail. But I had to do that for him because he's so nice. And we sent Middletown. We're on a new cable TV system, thanks to Lori Galgano. Middletown, Time Warner. We sent them 2 programs, one for next week and one for the first week in December. Franklin finished his book, The Old Man of the Sea. A father and a son sailed from New London, Connecticut, and went around Cape Horn. Can you imagine that? Went to the Falkland Islands and sailed back to New London. He loved it. Franklin loved this book. Of course, Franklin's from Connecticut. We're writing to Chris Merrick, and Penny's sitting on top of it. She called up and left her address but no telephone number, so I wrote her a letter and told her please to send her a telephone number so we could talk to her. This is fan mail. We sealed all of yesterday's letter. You want to see what this in-mail brought in and made, what the in-mail made into out-mail? Outrageous. We still don't have any heat. But there's the out-mail. Isn't that something? All that work and all that postage. And all that money. We sold the Gannett stock for $122. That battle's over. What's his name is gone. The CEO, John Curley? Yeah, he's gone. I told you we still don't have any heat. Now, I was in the middle of telling you jokes when you ran out of batteries. See, I think that's why we're going to get a new camera at Christmas anniversary time. That seems to be when we buy new camcorders. And let's see. I don't know if we finish this joke or not. That they're not going to publish the Chinese telephone book anymore. There's so many wings and so many wongs. Everybody is winging the wrong number. And I think we were up to the policeman, stopped the young lady, and said he wanted to see her license. And then he said, your license said you should be wearing glasses. And she says, well, I have contacts. And the policeman says, I don't care who you know. You're going to get a ticket. And the warden said to Charlie, Charlie, you must be lonesome in here. You never have any friends or relatives come to visit you. And Charlie says, oh, no, warden, they're all in here with me. The little girl came home from school and she was dejected, and her mother says, what's wrong, honey? And she said, we had a fire in school today. And Mommy says, oh, that's horrible. The little girl says, well, I knew it was going to happen. We kept rehearsing for it. This is today's to-do list. It's a little bit shorter than yesterday's. A man in the Oval Office saw a gold phone, and the people said, you can talk to God on that phone. So he called up and he talked to God for 3 minutes, and then he said to the people, what do I owe you? And the people said $300. Soon after that, the man was transferred from Washington, D.C. to Israel, and he saw a gold phone there, and the people says, oh yes, you can talk to God on that phone. So the man called up and talked to God for 3 minutes, and then he says, what do I owe you? And they said 30 cents. He says, what? I talked to God the same number of minutes in the Oval Office, and it was $300. And they said, well, over here it's a local call. Adam said to God, how come you made Eve? And God said, I thought you were lonesome. And Adam says, well, God, how come you made her so beautiful? And God says, so you would like her. And Adam says, well, God, how come you made her so dumb? And God said, so she would like you. We're sending forms to Cecilia at Peekskill for Cross River specials. The Cross River program is 2 hours long, so we sent them about 5 specials in addition to the regular program to see if they could play them as specials. And this is Cablevision's wants an application for every special, which is really stupid. But here they go out. The main thing here is the magnanimity of Zeke Hunter. Zeke Hunter, how he would sit down and sign these 10 forms. There's nothing in it for him, but he is his own person. This is half of the list that we send programs to public access cable systems. And so we'll send this to Cecilia, but she says you better send it to public access. Don't put Cecilia on it. And that has a very unhappy ring to it. And let's see, where are they? Peekskill. Riverhead, Staten Island, Gresham, Portland, Oregon. Peekskill. 1053 Park Street. This is the cable company that was Media One. It was Continental. It was American Cable. I guess it was Colony. No, it was something. And everybody knows that the zip code for Peekskill is 10566. Will you people in Peekskill, one of you, sign for my TV program? Lindy Hartman signed for it for years. Lindy Hartman, vivacious, lovable, 40 years old, died. So, will one of you people in Peekskill sign for the program now? Thank you, God, for all those great stars up there in the sky. Thank you, God, for the full moon that's coming. Thank you, God, for giving us good work to do. Thank you, God, for the day after the storm. This is 11 days and only 2 days of sunshine. That's pretty interesting and unusual. Work is being done here. We chat with Glendora. That's all Cablevision. 10 file drawers. 9 years of fighting the law-breaking of Charles. Now look at this hanky-panky. This was sent to Al Trudeau, Access Coordinator at Wappinger's Cablevision. And it was a long, long time ago, at least 3 months ago. And it's returned, and you notice somebody puts Glendora on it, and we didn't put Glendora on it. So this is Cablevision hanky-panky. Cablevision has been caught red-handed, with no public access in Armenia, Pine Plains, Dover Plains, Millbrook, Stanford, all of these municipalities up here in Dutchess County. And here is the application signed and the contract signed and proof of residency. One for the Hidden Truth and one for a chat with Glendora. So there's 2 counts. So this ought to go to the New York State Public Service Commission. Cablevision cannot get away with this. They have to have public access in the Wingdale system, so-called. So we'll send this to Cecilia.
The light is going out.
You want this light off?
Yes.
Okay. You think football is a good game?
Not as good as baseball.
Not as good as baseball. You think that baseball is a perfect game, right?
Yes.
Does this help you? I'm sorry, what happened?
I can't see it. The light comes right over your shoulders.
Oh, you want to go over here then? How about here? Is that better?
I guess so.
Does that help your arms and shoulders? What's your answer?
Yes.
Brad Sachs says it helps your eye-hand coordination. Somebody likes this room. Somebody likes Office 3. Kitty wants to go outdoors? Okay. All right. What's the temperature, folks? I think it's above freezing. The doors of the 1993 Lincoln were frozen too. And why does she want to go out on such a bad day? And go into the woods. She goes to that driveway and rolls on the gravel, and then brings all the dirt into the house. Where you going, Kate? Where you going, Penny? Where you going? Don't go so far from your house. Straight into the woods. I think I saw a deer. one morning. She left us, folks. She went into the woods. Franklin can't read the idiot sheet anymore. And he has a lifetime subscription.